there, I'm Dr. Sandra Bloom. I am Associate Professor of Health Management and Policy at the Dornsife School of Public Health at Drexel University. Let's talk about another tool. It's a tool for understanding and successfully managing what's called vicarious trauma, and it's called a wellness plan. So let me tell you a little bit about what emotions are for. Emotions can be thought of as a sensitive mental radar. What I mean by that is they tune us in to what is really important and direct our thinking to what we need to pay attention to. We're always feeling something. Emotions are vital to our survival. And they also connect us to other people from cradle to grave. The downside of emotions is that they're contagious, and they can be experienced collectively as a result of that. So you've had that experience of being in a room where someone's really happy and everybody catches that emotion. And you've probably also had the experience of being in a room where somebody was really angry and everybody feels upset and anxious. That's normal for human beings. It does mean, however, that in a workplace where there's lots of emotions kind of zipping around, we are doing emotional labor. What does that mean? It means on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis, we have to figure out when to express our emotions and when to suppress them. It's especially important because they're contagious, and doing that kind of emotional labor can be exhausting. It's why you may end up at the end of the day just so tired out, even though you haven't lifted anything more than a pencil. Too much emotional exhaustion can lead to problems. And one of the names for a problem that is very common in any kind of service delivery system is called vicarious trauma. And it means the cumulative transformative effect on the helper of working with survivors of traumatic life events who are experiencing distressing emotions. And those changes can be both positive and negative. What does that look like? Oh, we're not having any time or energy, feeling disconnected, becoming very detached from other people and from work, becoming increasingly socially withdrawn, being very sensitive to violence, or becoming insensitive to violence. Having alterations in one's own sensory experiences, like having nightmares about somebody else's traumatic experience. And over time, the risk is becoming cynical, feeling despair or hopelessness, and not really working very well anymore. And ultimately having changes in identity and worldview and spirituality. Now again, not necessarily negative changes. If that hadn't happened to me, I would not be taking the time to do this for you today. But the changes aren't always positive. They can be negative. If it goes on too long, people can experience burnout, which is characterized by emotional exhaustion, a great deal of cynicism, and a loss of being effective at work. Now, there are some risk factors. So your own past history of trauma and exposure to adversity are risk factors, particularly if you haven't really worked through those issues. Having poor respect for your own boundaries, of interpersonal boundaries and boundaries around time. Having a high caseload of trauma survivors, but particularly children. People are really affected by children, and particularly sexually abused children, and cases involving them. And people who have less experience, too much exposure, and too many negative outcomes all are at risk for experiences of vicarious trauma. Now, what are the protective factors? Well, the big one, the one I repeat over and over again, is social support. There really isn't any protective factor other than social support. So what does that mean? What counteracts vicarious trauma? Well, getting satisfaction from your work helps you prevent vicarious trauma. Knowing you're doing a good job and that you're satisfied with it, and so are the people that you report to. And then what does social support mean? Well, it's having a positive work environment that includes people who care about each other and who show that they care about each other. They genuinely like each other and may joke around and pitch in when needed. People who are supporting each other pick up even the most subtle mood changes of their fellow workers and ask about them in a caring and supportive manner. So offer social support, accept it from others, a vital part of an antidote to vicarious trauma. Some other important protective factors: getting good supervision and consulting other people when you need to, resolving your own personal issues, having strong ethical principles of practice, having ongoing training, learning new things, and becoming increasingly competent in your job responsibilities, and being aware that this is real and you need to take care of yourself. To take care of yourself, what we're suggesting is that you create a wellness plan. Start off, if you're just starting your new job, then start off from the very beginning with a wellness plan. That means making conscious efforts to monitor the impact of trauma exposure on your work, on your body, on your emotions, and on your relationships. You need to develop a plan that helps you care for yourself through the day and to leave work at work. It means purposefully developing self-care methods for all aspects of yourself: your physical self, your emotional self, your relational self, and your spiritual self. You're going to be asked to do that when we finish this video, and a form that you can fill out. And when you've completed that, what I'm going to ask you to do is make a commitment to your work group, make a commitment to your loved ones, and make a commitment to yourself that you are going to take care of yourself and that your workplace is going to be a successful place for you to thrive.